All right, so are you ready for this? We've got like a whole stack of readings here all about achieving success,
Oh, yeah.
but we're really going to go deep on just one idea from it all, taking 100% responsibility,
Hmm.
but not like blaming yourself for every little thing, it's
Right.
something way more powerful than that. Our main source for this deep dive is this book, The Path to Success, and it's really interesting.
Oh, it is.
Got all these real life stories and even some exercises you can try out.
Yeah, those exercises are really the key. I mean, taking responsibility is like a phrase everyone throws around,
Uh-huh.
but most people don't really explain it in a way that actually helps you make changes in your life.
Exactly. So let's just get this straight right from the start. What does taking 100% responsibility really mean?
Okay, well, it means recognizing that you always have choices, even when things go wrong. You're not just a passive passenger in your own life, right?
Right.
You're the driver. Okay, I like that. But so does that mean ignoring genuine hardship? Like if something truly awful happens, I'm just supposed to pretend it's no big deal.
Not at all. It's more about acknowledging those situations, but then focusing on what you can do next. So it's less about why me and more about, okay, what and now?
So less about dwelling on the problem, more about finding a solution,
Yes.
even if it's just a small step forward.
Exactly. And like that shift in perspective, that's where your power lies.
Speaking of power, The Path to Success talks about Oprah Winfrey. Now, everybody knows she's incredibly successful, but what's so striking to me is that she didn't let her really rough start define her.
Right. And it wasn't just like overcoming poverty and abuse. It was how she did it. Imagine being told you're not fit for TV, like she was. Most people would have just been totally
Oh,
crushed.
for sure.
But Oprah, she used that as fuel. She
Yeah.
learned, she adapted, and look at her now. Yeah. Okay, that's inspiring. I think that's a much better way to look at those success stories.
Yeah.
Not just the rags to riches part, but like the specific choices they made along the way. It makes it feel more possible. And it wasn't just Oprah either. Um, the Path to Success also mentions J.K. Rowling, right?
Hmm.
Single mom, struggling financially.
Yeah, and facing a ton of rejection from publishers too, but she didn't let that stop her.
Right.
Instead of those rejections making her feel like she wasn't good enough, she just kept refining that manuscript, kept believing in her story. That's taking responsibility
Mm.
for your craft, for your vision, even when it feels like the world isn't giving you any easy wins.
That's so important. It's easy to look at those huge success stories and think, well, they're special. I could never.
Oh, absolutely. But that's exactly the kind of thinking that we're trying to challenge with this deep dive, right? What if the real difference isn't some magical talent or something,
Uh-huh.
but simply the decision to keep going when things get tough?
Okay, so no more excuses. The Path to Success talks about ditching the blame game. Step one is like recognizing where we're giving away our power.
Yeah, and that's where the responsibility audit comes in. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's really just about taking stock, looking at your career, your relationships, your health, and honestly asking yourself, am I truly in control? Or am I letting all these external factors run the show?
So like instead of complaining about a bad boss,
Yeah.
I should be asking myself, what can I do to improve the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just like focusing on my attitude or my performance.
Exactly, because even if you can't change the boss, you can change how you show up.
Hmm.
And that shift right there, that's taking responsibility.
Okay. I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those times when it truly does feel like things are out of your control?
Yeah.
Like let's say you get laid off from your job. It's easy to fall into that victim mentality.
It is.
I've
And
had,
this is where understanding the nuance is so crucial. Acknowledging the hardship is totally valid. It sucks to lose your job.
for sure.
But the question then becomes, okay, given this new reality, what choices do I have?
Hmm.
Do you wallow in it? Or do you update your resume, network, learn new skills?
So it's not about like denying the difficulty. It's about focusing on what you can do,
Yes.
even if it's just one tiny step at a time.
Exactly. That's the essence of taking 100% responsibility. It's not about controlling the universe. It's about controlling your response to the universe.
Mm.
And trust me, that's a game changer.
Okay, I'm already
Let-
feeling inspired. But the Path to Success also highlights some pretty extreme examples, like Elon Musk. He faced multiple near bankruptcies.
Yeah, and think about all the public criticism he endured and the pressure of setting those incredibly ambitious goals. Most people would have crumbled under all that.
Yeah.
But Musk, he always focused on what he could control, the innovation, the problem solving, this relentless pursuit of his vision.
So it's not that these people don't experience setbacks, it's that they don't let those setbacks define them. They choose action over inaction, solutions over complaints.
And that choice right there, that's the key takeaway. Because that's something every single one of us has the power to do right now
Even now.
in whatever situation we're facing.
This is already making me rethink how I approach challenges.
Uh-huh.
I can see why they call it the path to success, but there's more to uncover, right?
Oh, definitely. And next time, we'll get into some of the practical techniques from the book, ones that you can start applying in your life immediately.
That sounds good.
So are you ready to, like, ditch the blame game and start taking control?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
But where do I even begin?
Well, the path to success talks a lot about setting clear goals.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, because you can't really take responsibility for, like, a journey if you don't know where you're going.
True.
And this is where I see a lot of people getting tripped up. They have these, like, vague ideas about what they want,
Yeah.
but nothing really concrete. It's like saying, I want to be healthier.
Uh,
Okay, great, but, like, what does that actually look like?
you need a plan. That's where the SMART criteria comes in, right?
You got it.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. I've heard about this before. But honestly, I don't know. Sometimes it feels a bit,
Corporate-y.
yeah, kind of.
I get that, but trust me on this. When you actually apply these criteria to your personal goals, it's like having this laser focus.
Okay.
So, for example, instead of just saying, be healthier,
Right.
it becomes, I'll work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes, and I'll track my progress using this app.
Oh.
So suddenly it's not just this, like, vague wish, it's an actual plan.
Okay, I see how that changes things. But what about like those huge EE goals, the ones that seem almost impossible? Like Jim Carrey famously wrote himself that $10 million check,
Oh, yeah.
dated it for a few years in the future.
He was visualizing himself achieving that success. And whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, I think what's so fascinating is the mindset shift.
Yeah.
He didn't just say, someday I'll be rich. He set a concrete target and acted as if it was already happening.
So even if a goal seems crazy, the key is to like break it down into smaller steps.
Yes.
Build that belief.
Yes.
And just keep moving forward.
Precisely. The path to success talks about this a lot. Those tiny wins, even if it's just like sticking to your workout for a week, they build momentum.
Okay.
And with momentum comes confidence.
Speaking of confidence,
Yeah.
that's another big theme in the book.
Mhm.
And I'll admit, this is something I struggle with. How do you actually like build self-belief when you're starting from a place of doubt?
Well, first of all, you have to recognize that everyone experiences doubt. Even those people who seem super confident,
Right.
they have moments of doubt too. The difference is they don't let those doubts control them.
Well, it's easier said than done.
Of course. But the path to success suggests some practical tools for this, like affirmations, for example. I know it sounds a bit woo-woo,
Yeah.
but just hear me out for a second.
Okay.
You've tried affirmations before, right?
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes it just feels like I'm lying to myself.
I get that. And that's probably because you're trying to change these, like, deeply ingrained beliefs overnight. It's
Right.
like learning a new language, you know? It takes time and repetition. The key is to choose affirmations that actually resonate with you,
Okay.
even if it's just like a slight shift from your current belief.
So instead of saying like, I'm a total rock star at my job, it could be something like, I'm capable of learning new skills and contributing to my team.
Exactly. Small steps.
Mm.
And then you got to celebrate those small wins. That's another tip from the book that people often overlook. We're so quick to focus on what's wrong. But like acknowledging even those tiny victories builds this positive reinforcement loop.
So like instead of beating myself up over a mistake I made at work, I should focus on what I did well that day.
Exactly. It literally rewires your brain to see the progress rather than just the shortcomings.
Okay.
And over time, that builds genuine confidence.
This makes me think about Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine what that must have done to his self-esteem?
I know, right? And yet he didn't let that define him. He used it as fuel. The path to success doesn't just tell these stories to entertain you. It encourages you to find those parallels in your own life. What rejection are you holding on to? That's actually an opportunity for growth.
Okay, that's deep. And it's not just about personal pep talks, right? The book also emphasizes the importance of the people we surround ourselves with.
Because let's be real, negativity is contagious. If you're constantly around people who doubt you, criticize you, drain your energy, it's going to impact your self-belief.
It's like trying to grow a flower in a dark basement.
Exactly.
You need sunlight.
And the book isn't saying you have to, like, ditch all your friends, but it does encourage you to be mindful of who you're letting influence your thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
Seek out those who lift you up, who inspire you, who believe in your potential even when you're struggling to see it yourself.
This reminds me of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
Yeah.
She had no fashion experience, but she had this idea. And despite tons of rejections. She just kept going.
And I think that's where the power of community really comes in. Maybe she didn't have like a boardroom full of experts, but she found people who supported her vision, who cheered her on. The path to success even has exercises for building this, like identifying your inner circle and being intentional about who you let into that space.
So it's like forming your own personal board of directors, people
Oh,
who are invested in your success.
I like that.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together,
Right.
but there's still this element of like, well, sometimes life just throws you curveballs. How do you stay positive when things are objectively tough?
That's where the concept of a positive mindset comes in. And before you roll your eyes, this isn't about like toxic positivity or pretending everything's perfect.
Okay, good.
It's more about recognizing that you have a choice in how you frame your experiences.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about taking responsibility, setting goals, building confidence, having a positive mindset. But how does all of this actually like translate into real-world action? Because it's one thing to think positive, it's another to actually get stuff done.
You're absolutely right. That's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. And the path to success gets that. It doesn't just stop at feel-good advice. It dives into the nitty-gritty of actually taking action. And guess what?
What?
It's not always glamorous.
You know what? I was just thinking about all those like overnight success stories we hear about. But the path to success really emphasizes that there are usually years of hard work behind those stories. Setbacks, even like outright failures.
Exactly. Take Thomas Edison, for example. We all know about the light bulb,
Uh-huh.
but what we often forget are the thousands of failed attempts before he finally got it right.
Yeah, and it's not just about the number of tries either. It's about his attitude towards those failures. He didn't see them as like proof that he was a failure. He saw them as data points, information he could use to improve.
That's such a crucial mindset shift. The path to success calls it embracing the learning curve. Because let's be honest, nobody gets everything right on the first try.
Whoop.
The difference is that those who succeed are willing to keep going, keep learning, keep iterating.
So it's like J.K. Rowling and all those rejections she faced.
Exactly.
Imagine if she had given up after like the first 10 rejections, or even the first 50.
Oh man, the world would be a much less magical place. But her story also highlights something else that's important. It's about believing in your vision, even when other people don't. Because sometimes those rejections aren't a sign that your idea is bad. They just mean it's ahead of its time.
Okay, so we've got perseverance, we've got belief. Anything else in this action toolkit? Because sometimes it feels like life throws so many obstacles your way, it's hard to even know where to begin.
Well, in those cases, the path to success gets really practical. It encourages you to break down those big, overwhelming goals into smaller, more manageable steps. It's like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant?
I think I know this one.
One bite at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I like that. So instead of focusing on the entire mountain I have to climb, I just need to figure out where to put my foot next.
Exactly. And each step, even a seemingly small one, builds momentum. And that momentum, combined with consistent effort, is what eventually leads to those big wins.
This reminds me of Walt Disney.
Mhm.
I mean, he faced bankruptcy and countless setbacks before finally building his empire.
It's true.
It wasn't just about having a big dream. It was about the daily grind, the commitment to showing up every day, even when things were tough.
And speaking of showing up, the path to success has a whole section on the importance of being present, focusing on the task at hand, rather than getting bogged down by distractions. It's about being in the arena, as the book calls it, fully engaged in the process.
I see how that ties into taking responsibility. Because if you're constantly checking your phone or worrying about things you can't control, you're not truly giving your best to the situation at hand.
Exactly. And that kind of half-hearted effort, that's where resentment and frustration build up.
Yeah.
But when you're fully present, giving it your all, even if you don't get the exact outcome you were hoping for, you can at least walk away knowing you did everything you could.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be real. Sometimes we do put in the effort. We do show up. And things still don't go our way. What then?
That's where the concept of feedback comes in. And I know nobody likes hearing criticism.
Sure.
But the path to success frames it in a really interesting way. It talks about feedback as a form of data, like a signal that helps you course correct.
So instead of seeing it as a personal attack, I should view it as information I can use to get better.
Exactly. Think of it like getting directions from a GPS. Sometimes you have to make a few wrong turns to figure out the best route. The key is to not get so discouraged by those detours that you give up on the journey altogether.
That's a great analogy. This reminds me of Steve Jobs getting ousted from Apple, the company he founded. That must have been a huge blow.
It was, but he used that experience to learn and grow, and eventually he came back to Apple and led it to even greater heights. The path to success talks about this idea of failing forward, using those setbacks as springboards to something even better.
It's a good reminder that sometimes what seems like a disaster is actually a redirection to something even more amazing. But it takes a certain mindset to see it that way.
It does, and that's why the book emphasizes surrounding yourself with the right people, because when you're going through those tough times, it's easy to get stuck in that negativity.
It's like trying to climb out of a hole while everyone around you is throwing dirt in your face.
Oof. Yeah.
You need those people who are reaching down, offering a hand,
Yeah.
cheering you on.
Exactly. And the path to success doesn't just talk about the importance of those positive influences. It gives you concrete steps for actually cultivating those relationships. It encourages you to be proactive, seek out mentors, join communities that align with your values.
So it's about being intentional about who you let into your inner circle.
Mhm.
Those people who believe in you, who challenge you, who celebrate your wins.
Yes. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think that's a powerful takeaway. Achieving success isn't just about individual effort. It's about building a support system that helps you thrive.
So whether it's finding a mentor, joining a group, or just having a few close friends who lift you up, it's about creating a network of positivity that fuels your journey.
And remember, taking 100% responsibility isn't about blaming yourself when things go wrong. It's about recognizing that you always have a choice in how you respond, how you show up, and ultimately how you shape your own success story.
I think the path to success puts it best. It's about becoming the hero of your own life, not waiting for someone else to come along and rescue you.
Beautifully said.
Okay.
And on that note, we encourage you to take these insights, apply them to your own unique journey, and see where they lead you.
Because ultimately, success isn't a destination. It's an ongoing adventure. And we're all in this together.